All right, good evening everyone, again. Thank you all for coming back from the bar after the break. And we'll head straight in to our next speaker. So we'd like to welcome on stage with a little round of applause, Mr. John Mckerrell.
I picked up too many things, so I might have to go back to my beer at some point. I'm here to tell you about iPhone apps. So a little bit about my experience. I've actually had 50 apps on the App Store, which I'd like to point out, it's quite a big number. Quite a few of them are repeated, not all of them are live now. There's pretty much 10 different types of apps, so I've got a fair bit of experience, I like to think. So if you want to go through the life cycle of an iPhone app, we first kind of need to have an idea. Remember the idea, not the man, the quote from V for Vendetta, saying that the idea is the important thing, it will outlive the man. So you need to have the idea there. So I can't really tell you how to think of an idea for an iPhone app, but a few suggestions on think of something unique, think of something useful, or think of something fun. I also want you to remember though, you can't kit an idea, you can't touch it or hold it. So the idea is very important, but so is the man. You need someone who can develop an idea for you, who can put it together. The implementation is also quite important. There's a little link there on that page that you can read if you go away. It's about if, because you do get, as an iPhone developer, you often get people saying, I've got this great idea, it's going to make millions. Do you want to come in with me? I'll give you 1%. It's like, oh, but 1% of a million is lots of money. I'm like, well, yes, but you've come up with the idea. I'm going to then spend 6 months coding it. So there needs to be a bit of give and take there. Just if you are thinking of going on a revenue share with someone, then maybe keep that in mind. So we need an idea. How about a social media cafe Liverpool app? That'd be nice. So first thing you might want to do is research similar apps. So we've got TED Talks. TED Talk is an event in America. They have lots of inspirational speakers. It's really good. We've got Biennial, which is obviously the arts event in Liverpool. And so these are both apps around events, so we can take some inspiration from these. As you can see, they've got, along the bottom, they both have some sort of categorization of the type of content that you can see. They both have lists of the content, so you choose the type of content, you get a list of what's available, and then you also get detail about an individual item of content and that sort of thing. So these are some ideas you might want to implement in our app. Also, you can have things like search in the TED app, your favourites. On the Biennial one, you also get, along with events, you can get a map related to the Biennial. You can find images, so there's other things that are separate from, for instance, the Biennial is separate from the exhibitions, so there's other things along with the items that you're looking at. And go away and brainstorm. I love whiteboards. We moved into an office 6 months ago. I've now got 3 whiteboards in there, and that was very important to me that we had lots of whiteboards. Some of these are related to the to iPhone apps, some of them are related to other apps that I've done over time. So we did some brainstorming, come up with some thoughts about what should go into this iPhone app and social media campaign. Well, got a list of talks, similar to the TED Biennial app, a list of talks, description of the talks, the detail about the talk, actions, so you might want to look at the video, you might want to look at the slides, you might want to look at photos from various social media cafes, all sorts of things like that. Come up with all these ideas, and then you need to start prioritising. So obviously, you've got thousands of ideas of what can go into this app. You've only got so much time, you really need to work out what's going to go in version 1, what you're going to put in the first step. So, how about a list of talks, the description of the talk, and then some actions. We'll keep it fairly simple for this first version. So, kind of like the TED Talk and the TED app and Biennial, we'll keep it fairly simple. List of talks. So this would be previous social media cafes. Each one generally has 3 talks. Put a list of talks, and then you can go and have a look through them. Make a list. I find this really important. Task lists are just really useful. It's quite easy to come into a project and start coding and think, oh, I wanted to do all of this stuff, and start typing away, start coding, and then a week later you don't know what you've done, you don't know what you've got left to do. So make lists. Make a big list of what needs to happen, and then you can start the day. You don't have to think, what am I going to do today? You just look at this website and tell them. Go away, do that, come back, mark it's fixed, look at the next one. Keep doing that. You don't even have to think about It makes it so much easier. You just don't think about doing the project. You go through the list, implement each thing, at the end of it, the app's done. So before you start building an app, there are a few things that you will need. You have to have a Mac, which is kind of unfortunate, but to do iPhone development, you have to have a Mac. You also need to get Xcode and the SDK, so you need to get the software that you use to build an app. You don't necessarily need an iPhone or an iPad or anything like that, and you don't necessarily need to pay Apple any money, but if you want to install the app onto any device or get it on the App Store, you will have to have membership to get it on the App Store. You will need a device, obviously, if you want to test it on a device. Before you start designing an app, you have to read the human interface guidelines from Apple. These are, it's I think 20 to 50 pages document that tells you pretty much what you have to do if you're building an iPhone app. Now, it is possible to not necessarily follow these to the letter, but Apple can be quite picky. So things like, if you're using images that Apple have provided, you must use them in a specific way. And just, like I say, ways to make, the idea behind them is that people don't install an app on their iPhone and look at it and have no idea how to run it. It's important that apps are similar and they know that, well, there's a back button on the top left, there's tabs across the bottom, this is all, I know that's how this works because it's how it works in the iPod app, or I know that if I click this little icon on the bottom right, it's going to create a message because that's what happens in the mail app. So keeping things similar. There are reasons that you might want to not make things different, and that's fine, but generally you try and keep things similar. So an example I have is an app I built that had the screen would spin round and show content kind of on the other side. And I wanted to put a button press to do this, so I used this icon, which is a standard Apple icon, and it's kind of got an arrow with a box on it, so I thought that's like a phone spinning round. Apple rejected the app when I did that because this is a specific icon that Apple have for actions. So you've probably seen this if you have an iPhone, you'll see this in the mail app. So I think it's like you click that and it pops up reply forward. It's not spin the thing around. So they rejected me for that. I did that icon, which is completely different, but it's mine, I did it, and they let me through. So you have to be aware of these things because it's annoying if you get rejected, and as I might go into a bit more later. Again, before you start actually coding, if you're going to start writing code for your app, there's 2 documents you should read. And again, this is just instructions about how you should do things and ways to not get rejected. So for instance, if you have an app that needs network for everything it does, and you don't check that there's a network connection there, your app starts and like nothing happens. Users aren't going to like that and they're going to find it strange. Even if you have a spinny icon on there, if it just sits there going for 5 minutes, that again is going to confuse people. So it makes suggestions like make sure that if the internet fails or the location services, the GPS fails, you pop up a message and say, this isn't working, you need to go outside, you need to make sure your internet connection is working, that sort of thing. So that's kind of to signify that if there is no internet connection, you have to be aware of this and handle it. So you just little things you have to keep an eye on. So if you're going to design it, I'm not a designer, I will point out, I'm completely a coder, but there are some things I've learned along the way. It is best to, well, it's definitely easiest to just stick with Apple's UI. They make the SDK provides a nice UI and nice graphics, so it's easy enough to make a good looking app. And you shouldn't really veer too much from that. And if you are going to veer from that, don't sort of do lots of custom graphics, which look, I don't know, really funky graphics, cartoony graphics, and then stick a really dry iPhone UI in the middle of it, because it just won't look good. Either go completely custom with nice cartoony graphics, or use standard UI. Look at their apps. Obviously, just download other apps, try them out, see what they've done, and just learn from their experiences. Learn what they've done and implement it in your own apps. And there are lots of free resources out there. So there's graphics you can get, there's Photoshop files that have like a picture of an iPhone, and then you can draw within that iPhone, and you know that it's going to fit an actual iPhone. So things like that just make it easy to design for iPhones. So an example, Facebook pretty much uses the standard Apple UI. The buttons in the middle are customers and them, so they're a bit more following their own branding, the colours and the navigation bar and that, they're following branding and the logo, but the app looks like an iPhone app, it's fairly simple. This is an app by Dave Bower, an iPhone developer in Chester. He did this app called Balloons, and this is quite different. So this is quite cartoony. I might say it's completely custom, so it's very cartoony. There's no random square button in the middle of the cartoony graphics, but it's fairly simple and easy to understand. These at the bottom are just buttons, you tap them. The things you can see there are basically like luggage tags that hang off balloons that you float into the internet, and then you can catch them later. It's quite cute. And so with that you flick the luggage tag. So that's an interesting little action, but it's the type of thing people will understand and are aware of on the iPhone. And then things like games. Games tend to have just completely bespoke interfaces. I mean, they'll have buttons to get to the menus, but you don't have a bird flying across in the mail app. That's fairly unusual. If you're coding, fairly normal coding techniques apply. You should write modular code, make sure you can reuse it, make sure you can put it into other projects. Don't write from scratch every time you make a project. On the iPhone it's easier because you have multiple set of screens, so if you can take that screen and reuse it somewhere else, it's quite similar. If you happen to want luggage tags in a mail app, Dave could take that and reuse it, something like that. You can take out parts within the screen, so the custom views within the screen that can be reused, and potentially a whole app, if it is fairly generic, can be made into a template and can be reused. There is lots of existing open source stuff out there, so again, don't reinvent the wheel. If someone else has done it, they've probably done it better, and if they haven't, then the 5 other people that got involved in the project have probably made it better. So use open source when you can. There's 2 there that I mentioned. 320 was the basis for the Facebook app, and Facebook open sourced it, so anybody can make apps like that. And TapCoo is another one, has various aspects to it. It has the cover flow, so that's the 3D sort of cover art that shows up in the iPod when you rotate it and flip it from side to side. It looks quite nice. So Hierarchy app is an app I wrote in June last year. It was supposed to show, if you have a selection of content and you want to show it in an app, you want to show it in a hierarchy, you want to show more detail about the app, that sort of thing. It's based on the iPod, so you have across the bottom of the iPod, that would be artists, albums, genres, that sort of thing, and that would be a list of artists and something like that. It's based on that, but I tried to make it quite generic. I thought I could use it in a few apps. Oh yes, and you can configure it with just, because it's quite a generic app, all you have to do is change some XML files and you can have a completely new app. So just some text files, you can change the text files, you have a whole new app that does something completely different. It's quite nice. You get a really basic, detailed screen about the item. So this, my demo app within that is a Hooks app. This is Children of Men by P.D. James, so it gives you the title and then selection properties. Fairly simple, nothing particularly interesting. You can also give it a HTML page to show instead of that, and then have anything in there. And that's actually the HTML from Wikipedia that I've kind of stolen. But the links in there do work, so you can also have it linking off to an embedded web browser, so the links work. So I've used that app on an app with 7 Digital. They're a large MP3 store based in London, and they wanted an app that would download tracks. So with 7 Digital, you buy your tracks, they go to your locker, you can then use them in multiple places. So this app downloads your locker, you have these tracks, or these albums, and then you can download the tracks to your phone and then you play them offline. So I built this app, and it's all based on this hierarchy app thing. You have the interesting custom list there with images in it, and then you have, instead of an item detail, you actually have a place for you to play an MP3. So how about we use that to build a social cafe app? So we'll start with an app, it's got nice branding there. We want to, obviously the content's going to change on a fairly regular basis. Every couple of months there's another event, so we want to be able to upload the content when you start the app. Have a list of topics, little topics of different talks we have, kind of a list of the events. You can drill down, so perhaps you clicked on Alison Gow, and then you want to find out what event she spoke about. You see she spoke in June 2010. You find out information about her talk. She spoke about data visualization, a bit of an overview about the talk, a bit of a bio about her, list of actions that you might want to do, so you can look at the slides, you can look at her Twitter page, you can look at the video. And all of those actions open in an embedded web browser, which is essentially, it's as good as Safari. It's not actually Safari on the phone, but it's as good as Safari, and it's embedded within the app, so you can get back to the app quite easily. And that's the slide share, so that's the slide on top. So you go away, build, write your app. After a while, put it all together. So, what's next? Well, you want to get it onto a device. You want to test it on an actual phone. So to do that, you did sign up for the developer program. I said it was optional. To get it onto a device, you'll have to sign up. And for that, you have to pay, I think it's $80, something in that area, so just under 60. Well, it's just under £60, probably a bit more than $80. You have to collect all the device IDs from the phones. So if you plug the phone into your computer, you have Xcode, you can get the device ID from Xcode, or you can get it from iTunes. You load it up, you click on the phone, you have to option click on the, or no, just click on the number that's there, which isn't the UDID, and it turns into the UDID. You get your device IDs, you upload them to iTunes Connect, and then you have to generate various profiles. Once you have them installed, you can either install onto your own phone from your computer, or you can ad hoc install, which means you generate a copy of the app and you can email it to people. So it's not like if you made a normal computer program and send it to someone and they can just run it. You have to go through these hoops because Apple are quite controlling about how you can run apps, but it works eventually. You can only do 100 devices with this, so you couldn't use this as a way to send apps out to lots of people. To get it onto the App Store, again you have to be with the program. You create more provisioning profiles, you go into iTunes Connect, so that's the way they manage apps. It's actually the way they manage music tracks. It's quite interesting for people from like EMI have been going on there and putting up new tracks and stuff, and now I'm using music tracks. You put in various information about the app. The keywords, very important, you can only enter the keywords when you're submitting an app. So if you get it wrong, you'll have to submit a new version and it'll need to be reviewed before you can change them. So that's what it looks like. Just so let's pretend to put various information about the social media cafe app. Once you've done all that, you go into Xcode, you do build an archive, then you can submit. It's really simple and it just goes straight up. Little gotcha if you have a space in your name, so I have one called Chess Bureau, space in the middle of Maths GCSE and driving test. They're slightly different, you have to do them a different way. And then you wait. So currently the review process takes about 7 to 10 days. It varies before Christmas when they know lots of people are submitting and they know they'll make lots of money if people add to Christmas, they cut it down to a couple of days. If it's an update to an existing app, it generally takes just a day or two, so that is a bit quicker. And you hope, because Apple, they might not like your app, they might not like how you've done things, it might get rejected, it can happen. But if you're lucky, well, while you're waiting, you can be getting other things ready. So you want to market your app when you're done. This is an app again by Dave Bower, and he does some really nice marketing for his app. So you do a website, you do lots of big screenshots, you tell people what it does. Also balloons, he's done like lots of press releases again. That's a little video, so you can see the video about how the app works. People can get to know your app even before it's on the store. And then finally, Apple approves. They've said yes, it can go on the store. Once it's there, straight away people, well, unless it's a really boring app, people will start downloading it. You can track how you're doing. This is the interface that Apple gives you, so you can see how you're doing. So this was an app. I had this cam viewer, so it's a webcam viewer. It went live on the 1st of February, and you can see lots of people downloaded it. It tailed off a little bit, but still plenty of people downloading it. There's also a program called AppBit, which is brilliant for doing this sort of thing, because do all sorts of graphs to show you by country, by area. Wonderful. This is IP postcode, which is another one. This is my first iPhone app. And also chart of success. So if you're very lucky, you'll get into the top 100 downloads. My basic sat nav has been in the top 20 of the UK navigation section, so I have to get quite specific there. But it has been in the top 20 of the UK navigation section for pretty much the whole time it's been around. And it's doing all right in a few other countries because I've recently launched a Spanish translation. That's something you should be aware of. If you do translate your app, you have more chance of getting sales in other countries. There's also something called App Annie, which does monitors your charts, it monitors your downloads, it does lots of things. You have to give it your password to iTunes Connect, which is a little unfortunate, but it is a great way of managing your apps and managing your success with your apps. If you're lucky, you might make some money. Apple do take 30% cut, which is a fair bit, but they do kind of make it very easy for people to spend money. It's so easy with an iPhone to just, all you have to do is type in a password, and then the next time you don't have to type a password for 15 minutes. So it's very easy to spend money. They do take 40% in the UK and EU, which I've not seen it mentioned anywhere, but they just do, which is a bit annoying, but I guess VAT is higher over here. If you want to claw back a few more percentage, you can get an affiliate program. So it's like Amazon affiliates. If you mention a book, you link to Amazon, you get 5% or whatever. I think with this you get 3 extra percent, but it's something. And any time a link to your app, you link via that. So Social Media Cafe Liverpool iPhone app is a real app actually. It is something I've coded up, and it's available. Sorry. The video link. They didn't like the video link. Because it was downloading potentially large files, and it might do that over the 3G network, they rejected it. I changed it yesterday morning and made it so that it would check if you're on what type of network you're on, and if you're on a cellular network, it would say you can't view the video. I asked for an expedited review, which you can do, and it gets you right to the queue. You can't do it too often, otherwise they can't do it. You can do it. And they ignored me for 24 hours, and then earlier tonight said, okay, we'll do an expedited review. As far as I can tell, that hasn't happened yet, or it hasn't even started, so it'll be available very soon. But it has all that content, so it has information about some of the Social Media Cafe events. I need to update it to have all of it, but it will have that information, and it should get updated. So if you get any better than that, well, it's open source. So I've made the app itself open source, and I've made the hierarchy app that I was talking about open source as well. So if you think that looks quite nice, and you think it'd be nice to have an app like that, you can do it. You can make one for free, really easily. You just have to change the XML files. As simple as that. I mean, there's a lot of people that will sell you an app that does not a lot more, and they probably have a similar thing where they cookie cut a brand new app for you and charge you £5,000. You don't have to. Just download this and make the changes yourself. If you want some extra little features, feel free to get in touch, but you can do this yourself. They're both licensed under the artistic license, which means that you can actually pretty much do whatever you want. You don't have to say on iTunes that you're using this code or anything like that. But if you do make the source code available to someone else, like to your client, you can't modify the source code to say to hide the fact that it came from me. So that's pretty much the only clause. And just FYI, I'm looking for interns for the summer to do some Ruby on Rails development and some iPhone development. Should be really interesting hopefully for them. So if you're interested, or if you know people who might be, then get in touch with me. And also I'm available for work. Thank you.
Anyone got any questions they want to ask John? Neil?
You don't have to answer this question, but it was just to get an idea of how much you can make on an app. You know, average you can make on one of your apps.
But I've got like a complete, basic sat nav. I call it the fart app of navigation because it's a silly app. All it does is enter a location you want to go to, like in the sat nav, and it says, and then you start walking, and if you go towards it, you're getting hotter. If you're going away, you're getting colder, and it tells you that, and that's all it does. That's made thousands of pounds, and all it does is say hotter and colder. So, and a key thing is to get into the charts. So you do lots of marketing, make sure you're in the charts. I read today that World of Goo, which is a great app for desktop, recently come out on the iPad. They found that from going from second position to first position, the number of app downloads doubled in one position in the charts. So if you can get into the charts, more people will see you and you'll tell them. So it depends on the app. If it's a popular app and people are willing to pay, then you can make money.
Cheers, thanks.
Francis.
Now that Android phones are outselling iPhones, have you made any Android apps? And also, is there a good way of making apps so that you write once, but you get a pretty good version on both platforms?
I have an Android app that I've just about finished. It's not out yet, but it will be soon. It's an Android version of one of the iPhone apps. There are ways to do it, and it basically consists of making an app using HTML and JavaScript, and then wrapping it in a native wrapper. So it's like building web pages. Obviously, it's good if you have experience building web pages because it makes it doubly easy. And then you can distribute it to iPhone and Android and potentially other platforms. And there are packages that make that even easier. They do the wrapping bit for you. So yeah.
Have you tried any of those?
I haven't tried any of them, so I can't specifically recommend. The way I did, I just did the jobs with HTML myself.
And when are you going to be doing a presentation on how to develop an Android app?
When health is over.
Damn.
Any others? No, that's it. John, thank you very much.